Well, our viewers are, in fact, over 500 of them participating in our question today.
Good.
You asked the question, was a raid on Trump's home an act of even-handed justice, as touted by AG Merrick Garland? 89% say no, yes, 10%. Governor is, like I said, over 500 voting with us this afternoon. It's a good group.
I think a great way to look at that, I watched his news conference yesterday. Honestly, I was dumbstruck that he said, oh, we apply justice evenly and without favor. Those were his exact words, and I'm thinking, really? Okay, let me get this right. Hillary Clinton lost or vanished with or erased 35,000 emails, many of which were classified, on her private server that is illegal to even have. You cannot have government documents, especially classified documents, on a private server, all of which she had the server in her bathroom. Lost 35,000 emails. Nobody raided her home. Nobody went to Chappaqua, New York and burst in. Maybe they were afraid to find Bill and who knows who. But the point is, there was no raid on her house. There was no charges filed. There was no big stink, no subpoena issued, none. Sandy Berger, who worked for the Clintons, he had been the national security advisor. He went to the National Archives. This was after they were out of office. And he got documents and he stuffed them in his pants, underwear, and in his socks, and he walked out with them because there were certain things related to the 9/11 Commission that I didn't guess he wanted people to see. And he got caught, and at first he said it was just an accident, he didn't mean to take them. Come on. I just accidentally stuffed this stuff in my underwear because, you know, that's what I do. And when that didn't play out to work, he finally admitted, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. It was just a mistake, and I'm sorry. And they gave him a misdemeanor. But nobody raided his home. Nobody went and put guns on his property. The only time we see that is when it's a conservative. We saw it with Roger Stone, 6 a.m. They show up at his house, they pull him out on his yard when he's in pajamas. His wife, who is deaf, is scared to death. She can't hear what's happening. She just knows that all these men with automatic weapons are frog marching them out on their front lawn, while CNN, who just happened to be there, is taping it all. Peter Navarro, who was on our show just a few weeks ago, on his way to this show the first time he was scheduled, he gets accosted at the airplane door at Reagan Airport. They haul him off in handcuffs. They strip search him. They put him in leg irons, and all because he didn't show up in person to Congress and say nasty things about President Trump. So you could go Steve Bannon, same thing. The only people who get this kind of treatment are Republicans and conservatives, are Trump supporters.
Well, and never with a former president.
My gosh, no.
Either side.
This has never happened, ever.
Right.
Barack Obama left the White House with several million documents. Nobody's raided his Chicago home or his beachside property in Massachusetts. Nobody's gone there with guns and 30 agents to demand anything. And President Trump was cooperating with them when they were saying, look, there's some documents that we think should go to the National Archives instead of in your possession. Okay. People don't understand that when you leave office, and on a much smaller scale, when I left office in Arkansas, there is so much going on to get your stuff boxed and sent to where your official papers are going to be. And there's a flurry of activity. You're trying to make the transition to the next administration. Is it possible that things get misplaced? Of course it is. If you later find out, oh, this should have stayed, okay, you send it back. But it's really nuts to think that this was of such urgency that it required 30 FBI agents with guns drawn at 6 o'clock in the morning at a man's home. It just doesn't make sense. Now, let's watch this video, because this is Garland, Merrick Garland, Attorney General, saying that he personally did, in fact, approve the raid. Now, he waits 72 hours to say anything about it. But finally, the controversy is such he can't ignore it anymore. Here's what he says.
Federal law, long-standing department rules, and our ethical obligations prevent me from providing further details as to the basis of the search at this time. There are, however, certain points I want you to know. First, I personally approved the decision to seek a search warrant in this matter. Second, the department does not take such a decision lightly.
Sure, you didn't take it lightly. Can I give you a little hint? Mr. Attorney General, we don't take it lightly either. You raided the home of a former president for some pieces of paper. You could have called his attorneys and said, here's what we need, here's what we want to see. In addition to that, there were reports that they didn't just go through papers, they went through Melania's wardrobe.
Right.
Now, maybe they had some transgender agents who wanted to try on her clothes. I don't know. Why do you go through, was this a search or was it a panty raid? You know, I can't imagine. What the heck is that about?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. I mean, I'm just appalled. I haven't been this angry in a long time watching the government. And then the self-righteous tone that Merrick Garland took when he said, now there are some who are criticizing the wonderful people of the FBI. Can I just tell you something? Here's why we're criticizing the wonderful people of the FBI. Yeah, there's some great agents out there in the rank and file, but you've shown us at the highest levels of the FBI and the DOJ that you're corrupt. James Comey took classified information when he was FBI director, took it from the Bureau and gave it to the New York Times. Nobody raided his home, nobody. And he was the director of the FBI. Andrew McCabe, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page, and the whole cadre of FBI and Department of Justice officials lied. They lied on a FISA warrant in order to go after associates of Donald Trump, and they never got in trouble for it. Nobody got fired. Some people resigned. Nobody had their home raided. And these were people who worked in law enforcement, and they lied to a judge to get a warrant to go after a sitting president. So yeah, we're pretty ticked off, and please don't lecture me about how I'm not supposed to question the FBI for doing stuff like that. And you claim there was even-handed justice. You prove, sir, that there most certainly was not. Sadly, the media, they think they've got it all figured out. I want to play this clip. This is a guy on the streets of New York talking about a guy who sticks both feet in his mouth and can't seem to get them out. He's talking about how criminal Donald Trump is. And of course, he knows. Watch.
Is this unprecedented to arrest a former president for not turning in documents?
A former president that had committed this many provable criminal acts.
But what are the provable criminal acts, I guess?
Provable criminal acts. Well, I'm done talking.
Of course you're done talking, because you've already said more than you knew, you empty-headed idiot. My gosh, that's amazing.
He should have just said, I don't believe I can speak to that.
Yeah.
He'd have been safer.
That's what
He'd have been
Merrick
safer.
Garland says.
I know.